Everybody, welcome back. Doing another Marvel Future Revolution video. Still with the interesting setup. So a few more days of that and we'll be back to normal. Appreciate your patience through it. In this video, we're going to be talking about some things that I think the game can do to get some more competition. Now, I don't want you to be like, we don't need more competition necessarily, or at least hear me out a little bit on this type of competition, because the competitions I'm talking about, I think, are things that you could be interested even as a free-to-play all the way up to a whale. It's the type of things that I see in games like this where people who are going, you know what, I like that. I want to try to get that. I'm interested in getting that. So we're going to go through that a little bit. If you're new to the channel, check out the Discord link in the description below. It's a great platform to communicate, chat, follow along with content. And if you like what you see here, feel free to hammer down on like buttons, click notification bell, subscribe, all that sort of thing. All right, now let's check it out.
Bring me WolverThor!
Okay, so while we're shooting this, Spidey's just going to be running around doing his thing in training grounds. I'm going to talk a little bit about what I've got kind of going here, and we'll kind of go through there. So the basis of what I'm talking about here is need more competition, right? Now, like, what am I talking about? They started working on this a little bit for this week in the battle challenge, where you can get some regional rewards based on where you rank. I think it's going to be a top 20. I personally love this idea. I think it's great to sort of go outside of your server, be able to compete with other people. You start getting familiar with who's on what other servers, at least within your region. Games like this, MMOs in general, I personally believe the more ability you have to sort of expand that reach, to make competitions or make people interested in getting things, the better off that game can be. So I'm really going to lean into that kind of that server, region, and world-based competitions. A lot of the stuff that I'm going to talk about are things that I think they could do for all three of those. I think it should be, you know, you want to incentivize somebody to get something first. You want to reward them to think about going to get this. It shouldn't always be about, oh, I need to be as strong as I can be to fight this person. That's fine, I guess, but at the end of the day, if you really want a long-lasting game that keeps and retains people, which this game has had some issues with, we all know, let's not hide behind that. We'll get a population spike and it'll come down, and it'll be interesting to see what happens with the next new character, because the appeal of Wanda is already starting to wear out and we're seeing those numbers come back down. So anyway, that's not what this video is about. So the server, region, and world-based competitions. Again, I love what they did with Battle Challenge, or what they're doing now with Battle Challenge at the time I'm shooting this video in June 17th of 2022, that we are going to have a region-based where you can rank to see who the top 20 are. So the other things I want to talk about here is, what about, like, and this, I think Dirk, a shout out to Dirk on this one, I think he came up with this one in particular, is what about the best global servers for invasion? So, and the idea behind that, and this is not what each one of these is like, but this is part of what we're talking about, is if you are going to, like, take the top 100 scores in invasion on a server, and then just aggregate all of those for a complete total, and see which server in the world is the best, and maybe that server gets something. I don't know what. You could give it, you know, maybe a buff. You could give it a title. You could give it some gear, some fodder, some cards. You know, there's a lot of different things. Now, one of the things they need to be careful with is don't give too much, I'd say, gear fodder type, because if you lean too much into that, some people, depending on what the competition is, might have a hard time competing and, you know, maybe not like it. Now, at the same time, if you don't make it worth it, nobody's going to do it. So this is where you're going to have to make sure that you kind of balance that, right? So I'm not necessarily here to say this is the reward you should give. We can maybe talk about that separately if they actually start exploring this. I just want to start pushing the idea of the server, region, and world-based competitions. So one of them, global server. What's the best global server for invasion? I think that would be great. I'm from Sakaar. I'm from Midgardia. I'm from wherever. I'm from nowhere, and we were the best in invasion, and haha, we're better than you. for whatever reason. You can show it off, and maybe it helps you out when you fight in a Mega Wars or Alliance of Mega Wars or whatever. I don't know. So that was one of them. Now, I also think they could do this for the best regional invasion scores and global invasion scores based on the individuals. So similar to what they're doing with Battle Challenge, why don't you always do that with Invasion? Now, again, Invasion might lean more towards the folks who spend more. I don't know how many free-to-play or cheap-to-play players compete at a high level in Invasion. I think you can, but you still need to have a lot of power output to be able to compete there. So you got to be. This might be something that you want to look at more of as a title. And again, this is something that, you know, I know on each server you can get a title every time you get, first. But what about, again, regional and global? I've done some global. Hey, look, these are the top 10 invasion people in global, but that's because somebody does a spreadsheet and shows. It'd be great if Netmarble actually had a ranking that showed, hey, look, there's all, and it could be for the whole next week you'd see, or maybe it's memorialized like Dark Zone. How about that? You know, the best scores of all, or maybe there's a Hall of Fame. You know, I'm just literally thinking of these off the top of my head, where it's like, you can constantly see who has the highest score ever on invasion for internals, you know, in the top 10. And maybe one person has the top 3 scores. I don't know. I think those are the type of competitions you want to incentivize people to do as well. Some other ones that we're talking about, I've talked about this before. Let's get that world and regional first thing going. So, or even server first, right? So, anytime somebody, an alliance, a person in their server, in their region, in the world, let's get some sort of incentive behind this. Again, create more competition. That is what this is meant to be about. I feel like if you have things like this and that lean to some of the free-to-play, cheap-to-play type as well, and it's not just you need to be really strong to fight, to compete, because you're going to go into a Mega War and Dimension Duel, just get hosed. At some point, someone's going to be like, I'm done with this game. I don't want to keep doing this. So you need to have some of these other things in there that makes them sort of push for that. Now, the thing specifically that I'm talking about, we've talked about this once before, alliance raids. They, in my opinion, need to absolutely have a server, a region, and a world first in finishing the final alliance raid level. Now, it's too late for the ones they did now, but for the next one, absolutely. You know, if they had, 5 more levels or something like that, do it. You know, have it so that server, region, and world first gets shown. And I remember in World of Warcraft where if that happened, there would be a giant, and God knows this game loves its pop-ups on its windows. There's plenty of those. Why not have it where it pops up that says, so-and-so server region just beat, I'm going to make something up, Hella in Alliance Raid level 40. Woohoo, it shouts, and they get titles, and they're cheering, and all these sort of things. Those are the things that are collectively people like to do together. You could do things as simple as the new tune getting to level cap. Same thing. It could be a world first, a region first, a server first. Let those people, feel good about getting to that. We've had many internal competitions in my alliance, so if we're doing it just cause, have it so that there's actually a reward for other people that they want to do it. You know what I mean? And there might be free-to-play people who take a week off or take a few days off to level somebody up. Let them get that reward. And that is something that I actually think, because typically, unless you're a brand new player, I think they can do fairly easily. Now, it's hard for a newer player because you don't have as much Pegasus base. You might not have things built up. You might not be able to easily level through the story. But if you do that right, you can get through it good, quickly and easily. And I think that would be fun. And again, it doesn't need to be some crazy reward, but I think it would be great. Now, one that I talked about a little, or thought about a little bit, and I'm not sure if I thought about this, but in your collections, you can go through here. I debated a little bit. It's like maybe the first one to finish all of these, or maybe the first one to finish a Spider-Man, or finish a Widow, or whatever. Maybe, I'm not sure. And I'm not even sure I'm convinced of this one, because there's a ton of RNG to some of this. Some of these you can't even do. Like this, you can't even really do anymore. You know what I mean? It's just like, okay. So, but there's the opportunity for some of this. And actually, this is a separate video and this thing that I've been talking about a little bit is that all of these badges should be able to be farmed in the wild at this point. Like anytime I'm in Dark Zone, I should be able to get any of these. I shouldn't have to get these from the shop. These badges are worthless at this point. Nobody cares about them because everybody wants special badges. So and this is probably low hanging fruit, but they got to do something about this collection. So now, could they do world first, region first, server first on that? I don't know, maybe. I didn't love that idea, but again, I'm throwing out, this is like just throwing stuff at the wall. I want to hear from you guys. Comment below for sure. Come to the Discord on what you potentially think with some of that or any of this. The next part also is activity logs for new areas. I can't pull this up during when I'm in training zone, but in this activity log here, when you click on it and it shows you need to do all these different things in these areas. I mean, it's like beating this enemy, beating that enemy, beating these most wanted. All of these different activities that you could do, that could be something as well. Again, region, world, server first for somebody. It's like, you know, whoever got the first activity log finished on the Omega Flight server. Great, they get again, you know, titles can be something that builds power as well, if it should or could, but, you know, give them a little something, a little shiny. And, you know, that's where one reason like it'd be great in this game. I mean, I don't know how you would do this, but like mounts, emotes, like rare emotes. Why does this game not have emotes yet? Like, give emotes, and you can make them positive base so it's not going to troll. But if you have some rare ones, you know, people might like that. And, you know, make the rare ones like the dance ones. Like, you get the dance emotes, and only those people can have the dance emotes. Otherwise, the other ones are maybe generic or something like that. You know, colored costumes, auras that just shine around you. Like, you know, this is something I've actually talked to the devs about is, you know, it might be too hard to make a custom costume for each character that got something special, but what about just like a general glow that would come off of the gear? You know what I mean? It's just like you're shining blue or red or orange or whatever. I think that could be something that could be neat. So the other ones that we've got on here, top 100s for regional and global. And these rewards can be titles and cosmetic as well. But what you want to talk about this is similar to what they're doing for Battle Challenge is you make a top 100. A top 100 within a region and then do a top 100 global. Now, this one you got to be careful what you award here because this will tend to be your more whale type players here. And if you lean too much into that, you will lose too many of your other players. And I know, I get it. The whale types give, you know, 80% of the money that are made on the game. The games need that, especially free-to-play games, they need those players to stick around. But you also want your other players to stick around because you want people to have someone to play with, have someone to compete against, have someone to, you know, talk about content with. You know, all of these different things you're looking forward to have in the game. So the thoughts that I had for this top 100 in both regional and global were things like Dark Zone. You know, just again, and we talked about the Hall of Fame earlier. You could lean into the Hall of Fame. Why not? You could do something like that. A Mega War, same concept. Now, a Mega War gets a little dodgy because depending on servers and how hard it is, but you know what? It's already there for a server-based situation. So if you can make it, you know, global and or regional, I still think that's fun and creates more competition than what we've currently got. And you don't need to merge servers necessarily to do it. It's an additional reward on it. So, and part of what you could do here is anybody who competes in, you know, the most competed Omega, it doesn't need to be the highest score necessarily, but like competed in the most dimension duels, you know, top 100 region or global, you know, dimension duels competed. Any free-to-play player can do that. You know, it doesn't have to be the score. It can be just like doing it. So if you make these incentives, and maybe that one is, you know, more incentivized to get good rewards because maybe your free-to-play players would do that more. It's like, well, shoot, I played a dark dimension duel match to somebody who had over 2,500 wins and over 2,500 losses. And I was just like, are you playing this game nonstop? Like, how are you even doing that? I'm assuming they're leaving it AFK nonstop somehow. I don't even know how they'd necessarily do that. But anyway, you could do these top 100s. A Mega War, Spec Ops. I know Spec Ops is not a huge, giant popular game mode, but they're trying to incentivize people to do it. Have a top 100 region and global for Spec Ops. I think that you could actually, and because this one's free to play friendly, because everybody's equal. Everybody's equal in Spec Ops. actually give really good rewards for this one. Give, regional type stuffs. Consider doing special type stuffs where that if you do really well in Spec Ops, that, you get ranked in the top 100 regionally and globally, and you get really good stuff. And it doesn't matter how much you spend on the game. This to me is probably the thing that I want the most, is a regional and global ranking for Spec Ops, and with a really good reward tied to it. Because I think in that situation, you will get a bunch of people trying to do their Spec Ops, get good scores, etc. Additionally, on top of, and you've got to be able to see how everyone's ranking, right? You don't want to just leave it up to chance, I don't think. But I think this is something that they could do. Now, what I'll do is I'll end the video with saying that, and additionally, Spec Ops needs more zones. We should have a different zone every day of the week with the random one on Sunday. Now, you get some repeats before Sunday, and I understand Sunday's already random, but they should have it. I mean, we've got so many areas of the game that don't have a Spec Ops. So maybe when Savage Shadowlands comes out, that will be when they drop another couple, Spec Ops in there. I think they should do that. And I think that would be a perfect time to do a global competition for that as well. Regional, global, server-based competitions. I know a lot of those so the server-based competitions are already there, but those firsts. And then create more global and regional competitions. So that's what I got for this video. Let me know what you guys think. Am I crazy on this? Do you guys actually think this would garner any interest? Definitely comment below. Let me know what you think about that. Come onto the Discord. Let me know your additional thoughts if you like. And again, if you like what you see here, share with your aunts, uncles, nieces, nephews, grandma, grandpa. I always like to throw that in there. Hammer down like buttons, notification bell, subscribe, that sort of thing. And until next time, I hope you have a wonderful day.